Hello, my name is Spirit Balance Holder and welcome to Reassembly, the first Let's Play I will be doing on my channel. To start off, I'll be informing you that I have a few mods installed, as I will be able to show you here. There's nothing major here, just a few factions I've added to spice up the game a little more, as I've already played this game for quite a while. So let's start off, shall we? First, the save slot, and most people here would start with Terran, and I am inclined to start with Terran, were it not that everybody tends to already do that. So instead of that, I was thinking, let's spice things up a little bit and start with a faction that most people don't see when they start the game. So I figured, let's start with Tinkrell. Why? Because Tinkrell has been one of my favorite factions so far. And they actually are quite amusing. They have a very unique weapon system. They have start off with shields. That is very easy for the early game. And they mostly rely on front-mounted weapons, meaning that I will need to rotate my ship in order to aim my weapons. So let's pick a nice color. Doesn't really matter, but just to spice things up a little bit. Let's go with a nice. Yeah, I like this purple. I like this purple. All right. Launch. Here we go. And here we are in the world. And as always, we'll have to do a tutorial. Not because it's all that interesting, but otherwise people don't know how to start off. So let's do the basic tutorial first, which says that I need to modify my ship now. So this is the ship where we start off with. It has two shields, it has two cannon bases, which both have a range amplifier, 3 damage amplifiers, and we have a rate amplifier at the tip. The ship is not super mobile, but that's not really an issue for now. I guess we should just start off, though we do have a little extra P. Maybe we could stick in just another damage amplifier and maybe some additional thrusters to make it a little bit more mobile. That'll make it easier to start off. There we go. That should do a little better. Not much, but it should make things a little easier. We do have to keep our energy in mind. So, well, what do you do in Reassembly? Well, Reassembly is a top-down 2D space game, I suppose, which basically only relies on polygons. And some people might think that is very boring, but it actually allows this game to be very, very flexible, very easy to mod, very easy to make your own ships and design very interesting structures. So I find it quite a cool game. What you see here is the yellow counter, the C counter is credits, and the counter underneath that is resources. And resources will collect as we kill enemy units, as we generated ourselves using solar panels, and there are a few additional ways involving the plant lives you see on some of the asteroids here. So since we have made a little ship and it is able to fight a little bit, let's see if we can reclaim a station. Reclaiming a station will allow us to get some additional credits, and credits will allow us to upgrade what we can do with our ship. Because currently we are limited by credits, by power I mean. And that power will dictate how big our ship will be, how much weapons we can put on, how much thrusters we can put on. As I showed you before, the power up here. Now, here we have a station. We simply have to fly in range of it and we will start capturing it, as you can see. And when captured, it will activate and it will start living again. Basically, it was in a deactivated state, and when we capture it, it reactivates. And we can now drop off our resources there for credits, as well as get some protection from these guys. uh, and here we go. Well then, activating a station, especially this one, gave us 500 credits, which actually is very nice. That means that we can already start modifying our ship. So, since this thingy, although having a nice power to it, is far from being my ultimate spacecraft, let's start and edit it. I'll probably be speeding these up a little bit or cutting parts out. But just for this first one, I think it might be a good idea to just walk you through it. So here you can upgrade the amount of maximum P or power you have on your ship. As said before, that dictates how big your ship can be. So since we currently are very limited with only 300, I think it would be a good idea to start upgrading those 2 times, 3 times maybe, and get a velocity amplifier. The velocity amplifier, well, as you saw, our projectiles that we fire now aren't all that fast, and that's really going to get in the way. We will probably also need this defense laser soon, but let's start with the velocity amplifier first. There we go. And you see here, we now have it added into our palette. From this palette, we can drag out any object we want, and we can build our ship with it. So, let's erase this entire ship and start anew. We start with this thingy, the command control. This cannot be removed. This is your ship. This will always be there. So, what do we need? Well, we need some energy to be generated to power our weapons. You can see the stats there. And we'll probably need some thrusters as well as, well, some shields. Those are quite important for the Tinkrell because they don't really have any form of armor. And though some factions like to use armor instead of shields, I very much think shields are very easy to use and generally very effective. Though, don't underestimate the armor. That is something I've learned as well. Armor is quite powerful if you use it well. So let's go with 4. Maybe not 4. We need to have the velocity amplifiers on it. So how about make something like this? We will need another shield here in the front because it's going to be a bit more forward, a bit longer. So add another one, protector, and it will cost some energy to regenerate those. And since we now have a bit more P, I think we could carefully go for 2 generators. So let's add a few struts to make it nice and round, make it look nice a bit. Every ship should have a little bit of character, even if it is mostly just a gun platform. It's more fun that way, you know? It's not fun if you only just build to make the strongest ship you can make, because everyone will always be doing that regardless. So if you add a little touch of character, things look a bit nicer. And not only that, but these will actually protect me as well. If my cannon base gets destroyed, my entire gun, no matter how long I make it or how big I make it, it's going to be gone in one shot. So to actually have that little bit here is not only very fancy, but also very, very useful, in fact. So let's add again the power and the rate amplifier. This is a little bit of a unique one. This one can only be applied to the front. Now basically, this is unique to the Tinkrell. You've seen here we've made this weapon here and copied one over here. The cannon base basically just fires a small projectile, and all that is in front of it is basically just modifiers. So the velocity amplifier, as you can see, will increase the velocity, increase the rate of fire, and make it more expensive for energy to shoot every shot. The range amplifier adds velocity as well. It adds range most primarily, and it adds a flat value of energy, meaning that this adds 10% extra cost. This adds 10 energy flat. So the more energy, the more range amplifiers you will be building to your weapons, the more flat range is added, and that will get quite dramatically increased by the damage amplifiers and the velocity amplifiers, whom both increase the energy cost in percentage values, as well as the rate amplifier. So we have our little weapons here. I think that's all right. We have got still quite a bit of P left. And since we have two generators, I think we can stuff in another range amplifier, and that will help us significantly because range is, it's not super important, but it will make sure that you can stay out of combat a bit easier. You can prevent some situations from escalating. So let's round up the tip here a little bit because we like to be a little bit fashion forward. um, and this will also provide us a nice place to put the thruster, because we need to make sure that this ship can rotate. It can need to be able to move forward, it needs to be able to move backward, and preferably, but not necessarily, also sidewards. Now sidewards is going to be a little bit of an issue because we have these rounded edges here. So we will have to perhaps stick a thruster here, I think, to make sure that we have some sideward thrust. Doesn't need to be much. We don't need to be a strafing ship per se. Can make different kinds of ships if you like. So let's add a strut here and here. And now I believe, yep, we can now add the big thrusters. Now having, you would think that it might be a good idea to put one big thruster in the center, but that will indeed dramatically increase your thrust forward. But having two on the side will also mean that the ship rotates a bit. It will allow it to rotate a bit more easily. And I like to use the big thrusters as much as possible because they cost the least amount of P and they give the most amount of thrust for their value. They don't cost any energy, luckily. Only weapons and shields and such utility things cost energy. So that really saves up. Now, a bit of forward thrust, bit of rotation. Nice little centerpiece here. A little bit back thrust. There is a slight chance that these thrusters will get hit because they fall out of the range of the shield just tiny bit. But I don't think it should be that big of an issue. I don't think it will really harm our cause yet. Later you need to be really careful with where and how you place your thrusters. Because if you have essential thrusters that simply are unprotected, that's really a bad issue. But our most essential thrusters here, here, and the ones here, those are all nicely shielded. So I think we should be alright. We have still a little bit of energy left, a little bit of P, a little bit of power, so a bit more thrusters. Always nice if you feel like your design is ready. You can just stick up a few more thrusters. Might not look always the prettiest, but it will definitely make you more mobile. And being mobile is quite important in this game. It is really, it can save your life more than you would like. So there we go. Now we have almost got it rounded down. Do we need to give the name? I think we could give it the name already. It's got a little characteristic, so let's call it the Twin Interceptor. Not too complicated, but yeah, here we go. Our first little ship. Well, actually our second, but the first one we made from scratch. And you see, our ship falls apart and slowly is reassembled. Ah, roll credits. So, cannons slowly being built up. And that's the reason why you want to protect your cannons, because they can get damaged, and if the modifiers are destroyed, you won't have them, obviously. They will lose their effect, and your shots will be rather weak and ineffective. Now, let's see how it fires. It fires pretty quickly. It's really quite powerful, but as you may notice here on our energy, it does drain our energy. You don't want that because we basically, as you can see, already use up almost double the amount of energy that we are generating. Now that isn't the biggest of issue, but it does mean we need to be careful with combat. Hey, and this is some resources. This is dropped from a plant. That's why it has that shape. Plants eventually turn into resources. Don't ask me why it is, but it just happens. And it's easy to collect it. Ah, ship capacity. We now have maximum resources, meaning since we don't have a construction bay yet, that will come all later, we simply go to a station and we drop it off and we get some credits for it. And if we like, we could again go here and say, oh, we want the defense laser. Oh yes, we want the defense laser right now. How much is a defense laser? Defense laser is quite expensive. That's not ideal. So we'll have to wait until we have some more resources, until we have some more credits. Well then, you can also see that basically everything in this game is hostile except your own faction. And that means that your own faction is also actually a competitor here. It actually is relevant. If we can kill this guy, I would be happy. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. We lost most of our cannons. The shield's down. Alright, here we go. Oh! Well, I guess you could call that a kill steal, but it's my own faction, so it really doesn't matter. Alright, well, with him gone, let's start and explore. Let's get another station, because especially early game, getting stations is the quickest way to get some more credits, and more credits means more power we can get, and more power means bigger ships, powerful ships, and eventually we'll be able to destroy this guy. Hopefully he doesn't do that right now to us. Alright, nice. Ooh, he did drop one, and ooh. You might think that this is the frame rate dropping. It is actually not frame rate. It is, if you're familiar with things like Space Engineers, it's basically something like simulation speed. It slows the game down without causing frame drops to make sure that everything stays nice and smooth, even though it is rendering everything a bit slower. I do have the impression that it's not because of my computer setup, but simply because of how the game works. Just to give you, just to explain that for a moment, if you look over at the pause menu, over to options, it says over here, physics updates per second. This is limited. We can't go higher than this. I would like to go way higher, but we can't yet. Might look into modding that, but vanilla, this is the maximum. And if you go over that, the game simply starts slowing down. But that is the neat thing. You will never have frame drops in this game. Well, unless your system can't handle the game itself, actually. But as long as your system can handle it, it'll never frame drop. It never will. Ah, there we go. Our weapons in action. Ooh. And some more credits. Oh, here's another guy. Die. Not a good idea of you. There we go. You can see our station being assembled. Slowly getting a bit bigger. And holy shite, we have got a nice amount of credits. So, let's find a nice calm place to upgrade again. Yeah. Well, actually, considering the time, I think we should call it a day for here. And when we come back, I think I'll have upgraded the ship, and we'll then continue with our new ship. I'll explain how it looks and what it does. And I hope to see you in the next video.